Were you prescribed prednisone, but you're wondering, are there any alternatives that I could use? Well, that's what I'm here today to provide is alternatives to prednisone for many common conditions. It's tricky though, because prednisone can be prescribed for many things. Any doctor from any specialty, from foot doctor to dentist, can prescribe prednisone, except for psychiatrists. They're the only ones who don't. And so I'm going to share it for the most common conditions, but there are many other conditions. And if you have one you want me to talk about, drop that idea in the comments, and hopefully in the future I can make a video about that. But in this video, I'm going to share alternatives to prednisone, the reason why you might want to be looking for alternatives to prednisone, and then how to talk to your doctor about these alternatives. So prednisone is part of a class of drugs called corticosteroids, also known as steroids or cortisone. Prednisone is the most common, but other drugs include hydrocortisone, dexamethasone, methylprednisolone, and many others that can be prescribed for many conditions such as arthritis, asthma, allergies, and autoimmune diseases. It can be very effective. It saved my life. But for most conditions these days, there are alternatives to prednisone that may work well, maybe not quite as well, but come with less side effects. So what are those side effects you should be worried about? Why would I be advocating for alternatives? Well, prednisone is a miracle medication, but it can come with up to 150 side effects. I personally experienced these. This is a cartoon I drew of my own personal experience. Weight gain, insomnia, horrific side effects. One doctor said, these are the worst drugs that we can prescribe, that it's the most hated drug in the world. So many side effects are possible. And so you might want to pursue alternatives to prednisone. And before I mention alternatives to prednisone from the Western medicine approach, I wanted to share that I've also created a whole bunch of videos all about alternatives to medicine that are natural alternatives to prednisone. And so I have a video for rheumatoid arthritis, for lupus, for Crohn's disease, for asthma, for cough, and on and on. So check those out if you want to know natural alternatives to prednisone. I have a whole playlist about it. So let's go to the Western medicine approach. For pain and inflammation, that's often what prednisone is prescribed for. Just general pain or dental pain or arthritis pain. Generally, ibuprofen and other non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are at least as effective, if not more effective, when we are balancing the risks that we've already mentioned. For many people, NSAIDs like ibuprofen are the best alternative to prednisone for pain and inflammation. But like I said, prednisone can be prescribed for many things. So if you aren't taking it for pain, then obviously ibuprofen is not going to work for you. Tylenol is a good next option. Acetaminophen, also known as Tylenol, it's included in many combination pills over the counter. This is a great option for pain, not so much for inflammation. It's not an anti-inflammatory, but for other types of pain, Tylenol is often a great option, especially if you're not supposed to take NSAIDs like ibuprofen. For the type of pain like dental pain, for example, ice is a great option to help bring down swelling, to help relieve pain. If it's an injury, elevation is a good option. Rest, ice, compression, and elevation, the RICE acronym. Those are as effective as prednisone often. If you have an autoimmune condition like rheumatoid arthritis or lupus, there are other disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drugs that might help. Things like hydroxychloroquine, methotrexate, sulfasalazine. These slow the progression of your disease by targeting a part of the immune system. They are often used as long-term alternatives to prednisone, but often they take a while to kick in. And so that might be why your doctor prescribes prednisone and another one to hopefully get you to a lower dose of prednisone to keep your disease and your suffering minimal. There are newer biologic medications that can be prescribed, things like Humira, which is adalimumab, or Enbrel, which is etanercept, or many newer biologic medications that really can make a big difference. They might come with a long list of scary sounding side effects, but for the most part, they're usually less harmful than prednisone. Prednisone is the most harmful of all of these medications by far. It has more side effects and more long-term consequences. So don't be scared by their ugly names like methotrexate or the long list of side effects that are on the package insert. They're less harmful than prednisone. If you're taking prednisone for allergies or asthma, for allergies, antihistamines like Zyrtec, cetirizine, those are generally better, more effective, and safer than prednisone. For asthma, using a combination inhaler that has a steroid and a bronchodilator in it, something like Symbicort has the best evidence that it helps with asthma. That's the best option. If you can just use the inhaler up to the max dose that your doctor prescribes for when you're having a flare, that is the best option over prednisone. Unless it's a really bad flare, then prednisone makes sense. But it's definitely a safer option for long-term control. Any option that is getting the steroid to the site of action is safer than prednisone. So a steroid cream for rashes, an inhaler for asthma, eye drops for eye conditions, and so on. Any way that you can minimize the impact to your whole body is a safer strategy. That is a better alternative than prednisone. Any other form of steroid that can target your condition better is a better alternative to prednisone if you still have to use a steroid. For eczema or psoriasis, topical treatments like pimecrolimus, which is Elidel, tacrolimus, they can be effective and have fewer side effects. So if you are worried about these side effects and you're like, what should I do? Then have a conversation with your doctor. Make sure before you take prednisone or even after you've been taking prednisone, are there any other alternatives to prednisone that I could be using? What are the risks of those alternatives compared to prednisone? Could we combine a lower dose of prednisone with another medication? We want to get you on the lowest effective dose of prednisone. Whatever it takes to get you there while keeping your disease under control is the goal. That is the evidence-based standard. Lowest effective dose. So don't hesitate to ask your doctor for alternatives. Don't hesitate to get a second opinion if you need to. And prednisone is this miracle medication, but it should only be given when the benefits truly outweigh the risks. And pursuing alternatives to medication is a valid goal that I've personally done. And you can check out my journey of all of the alternatives to prednisone I pursued. I've traveled hundreds of miles and crossed state lines so that I could get the best alternative to prednisone for my condition possible. So check out that video, why I took prednisone. But if you have no other option besides taking prednisone and you thought, well, prednisone is my only alternative, stop right there. There is an alternative you can consider to go along with prednisone, and that is Nutrinized. I designed it so that whenever I have to take prednisone for my autoimmune disease, I can take this supplement along with my prednisone and minimize the side effects because it's designed to give back the nutrients that prednisone steals. The loss of those nutrients is what's leading to the side effects and those risks being compounded over time. You're losing calcium, leading to bone loss and maybe breaking a bone with osteoporosis. You're losing magnesium. You're losing melatonin, leading to awful sleep. All of those side effects are because of nutrient depletion. So when you give back those nutrients depleted with this supplement, with a morning bottle and a bedtime bottle, you can feel as well as possible while taking prednisone. You just take 2 in the morning along with your morning pills of prednisone, and then 2 at bedtime to help you get restful sleep at night. And that is an alternative to prednisone that you can use to minimize your complications, your risks going forward, so that you can feel as well as possible while taking prednisone. And you can find it at Nutrinized.com or on Amazon. Signing off is Dr. Megan, your prednisone pharmacist.